So Mercedes is performing within a certain window that is acceptable, but with a car that is unacceptable, especially held in regards to Mercedes standards. Okay. And now as Baku is behind us, not really far behind us, it was even evident in the things that TOTO Wolff said before the race started, as he hinted to a possibility that Lewis Hamilton may not make it the full race due to back soreness or back pain that had been elevating and caused by this porpoising that was completely evident and seen. And I'm going to even show you a quick clip of this. Look at this. This is what's continuously happening down the straight. Now, this is when he's coming out of it. He's coming out of it at that point and decreasing speed. On that full straight, especially if you go back into qualifying or practicing, you watch Lewis Hamilton's camera view in car, you see nothing but just, that's what you see. Just straight, that spine is being put under pressure and it is compressing. All right. Now, we heard commentators even during the race say, even Paul di Restaz, which is a hater of Lewis Hamilton, he himself even said, I would not want to be in that situation with that car performing with porpoising like that. Like he was like, I wouldn't even want to be suffering underneath those type of that type of environment. And I think when Russell first told us toward the beginning of the season, like he was experiencing back pain even then. And now I think they hit a little small window where they saw some improvement. I think Monaco wasn't really truthful about the residents of porpoising living still there at Mercedes, and Baku exposed it. Baku has an incredible straight. We saw speeds exceeding 340, 350 kilometers an hour, which is anywhere between 212, 217 miles per hour down that straight, with Alpine showing us that with that straight line speed going there, although it wasn't really that great evident in race standards. But, and now with hints of even possibly commentators mentioning that the FIA governing bodies may have to introduce some type of patch, because it won't be a resolution this season. Like, we wouldn't see anything that would completely maybe resolve this porpoising issue until the following season and on. So some of the things I think that could be done, it's definitely not going to happen this season. The things I think they should do is release the ban that they have on certain suspension components that teams had access to the season before, like inerters, J dampeners, those type of situations, or those type of tools, parts that could hopefully probably rid these cars of that, at least that degree of porpoising, right? But what will they do temporarily? I don't know. What do I suspect they may do? I suspect that they may put in, as said during the broadcast, possibly a suspension limit, like a ride height limit. Like, you can't be below this limit because porpoising is causing drivers physical pain and possible damage. If you don't know how sensitive the spinal cord can be, there are a shit ton of nerves that reside there, and especially at the base of your spinal cord. And these drivers are sitting there getting their backs beat in and suffering spinal compression. You could possibly have nerve damage. We even saw that Kevin Magnussen voiced this, that he was having back problems. Like, this is starting to be a running thing throughout the teams. I know people wanted to just prescribe it to Mercedes, and you'll see people saying crazy, silly things like, oh, let's drama queen, being disrespectful, that sort. No, Russell was one of the first to announce this. Lewis Hamilton is suffering because of it. Kevin Magnussen has now came out with it. We've seen and heard several other drivers like, yo, my body hurting right now. And this is not the typical G-force pulls on their body that are causing this. This porpoising is causing this, and in areas that they're not really accustomed to feeling pain. There's a difference between having pain due to muscular soreness, having to contract, if you don't know concentric and eccentric, Pressures are actions of the muscle. You know, you can look that up. But this is more like when you start moving into skeletal pain, like when you're having bone bruising because bones and cartilage are not able to ward off the type of compression and impact that these cars are having, contusions. That's going to be a whole different ball game. And I'm not too clear on what the Formula One industry does in perspective or in comparison to what the NFL does for players that suffer certain damages or illnesses or any type of disabilities that happen. But this is something that could be bigger to that degree. Like, will Formula One be responsible for drivers suffering damages that could go for long periods of time throughout their life? That is something else that they have to look at, because that's money that if they do have something like that, they'll have to pay out for the remainder of a driver's life. So you get into a totally different ball game. So this is becoming not to be a small matter as teams are not able to really solve it. Not even Ferrari has solved it. The team on the grid who seems to have solved it the best, at least teams that people are paying attention to, is probably Red Bull, which we've still seen a bit of porpoising in there, nowhere near the levels of Ferrari and Mercedes. Other teams that we know have had it is McLaren. So, and now, Haas. So it's becoming an issue. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen. But still, with that being the case, Mercedes is still performing decently, decently. I mean, they got a 3 and a 4. This time around. All right. That's cool. Russell is very well holding his reputation of Mr. Consistency. And I am going to say this because I believe Mercedes will still push forward with this current design. When they get it right, if they get it right, Russell is going to be hell to deal with. I'm not speaking so much more on Hamilton because he's proved himself in Formula One. He's locked down Formula One records in history. He's done monumental things in the sport of Formula One throughout the sport. Comparison to other drivers in history, Hamilton has proven himself to be a great, to be a GOAT. He's on the backside of his career. Now we're looking at the future, and the future of Mercedes will be Russell, given he remains there and stays there. Anything could happen. And then Lewis Hamilton, I think it's something to be said about his character to help prepare the team to hopefully go into the future being very and highly competitive with a design that, if they get it right, will carry them probably several years of dominance again. Other teams will see this and probably try to mimic it if they get it right. If they don't, it will be one of those things that will be an epic fail, especially if they have to come out of it and go to a different design. But one thing can be said, a failure will show you and teach you something different. And if they come out with another design after learning something about this and tweak it and understand it, then a whole ball game. But right now, they're having trouble doing that, but they're also not bottom of the pack. You do see that, right? Like, people are down in Mercedes like they're out like in 20th place all the time. No, they're still top 5 team on the grid. There's 20 cars, 10 teams. They're still top 5. So, there's something to be said about it. But I do understand when a giant falls, everybody will realize it. When an ant trips, who the hell has seen an ant trip? So you're working with those kind of concepts. But also big shout out to Checo. Establishing himself as a world championship contender. We'll see how that goes. And also, I don't know what's going to be going on with the Daniel Ricciardo and the Lando Norris situation. I don't really like how McLaren held Lando up toward the end. If they wanted to say, like they try to say, we just want those points, it doesn't matter. If Lando passed, you're still going to get points for 8 and 9. You're not getting more points than that. Why hold Lando up if he had the pace? Ricciardo wanted to pass Lando up. He wanted to pass him up, and he really didn't have the pace to pass Lando then. Lando legitimately probably had pace and position to pass Ricciardo toward the last few laps of that race. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but I'm saying I don't like to see that because he really had it. And it's funny, we see this situation occur in other teams, and then we're like, no, don't do it, protect. But it is what it is. Mercedes, I hope they get this under control. FIA Formula One, I hope you work something out to protect these drivers from bodily damage. Beyond having incidents and accidents, right now you're in a situation where a new car that you introduced and these teams are having to work with is causing pain and discomfort to a degree where drivers are starting to voiced these complaints, these I don't even want to call them complaints, these concerns, and expressing how they're feeling after being beat to shit in a car that's porpoising down a track going 200 plus mile an hour. So hey, subscribe, like, comment, be here for the live events. I really appreciate it. Peace. Thanks for tuning in and watching another video here at Wolfpack Performance. Check out some of my other content on Formula One issues, our topics, and our DIY products on how to customize your vehicle. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.